feel like we're going to need to know what that means. So, hey, look at this. See, reading the card does not always explain the cards. Welcome back to World School. My name is Nathaniel, one of the hosts here at the channel. I am joined off screen by my lovely co-host, Ashley. Say hi to everyone.
Hi.
There she is. She's playing a video game right now, but we are back with our regularly scheduled set review. You already know the deal. We're going to go through multicolored and colorless, and then all 5 of the colors leading up to the pre-release. This time, it's for Llorwyn Eclipsed, which we're super excited for. So if you guys want to get our opinions on the cards, we're obviously going to come about this from a limited perspective. So if you're getting ready for pre-release, or I guess I'm going to scoot this way a little bit because the light's not on me. Or if you just enjoy limited and draft, that sort of thing, that's the perspective I'm going to be coming from. Super excited for this set. I'm not a huge fan of Universes Beyond, so I'm very excited for us to finally be getting back into this. And we are going to jump right in. All right, so multicolored and colorless cards. Before we get into things, I will say, guys, if you have not already liked, comment, subscribed, any of all that's greatly appreciated, especially subscribing. We've hit 385 subscribers, which is insane. We had a end of year goal of 250. You guys absolutely knocked that out of the park. It was insane. So we have a lofty goal for the end of 2026, but I believe we can get there, especially if you guys hit that subscribe button. All right, let's jump into things. So first off, we have white and blue. So it looks like Azorius is going to be Merfolk. This one's a 2/2 Merfolk for 2. At the beginning of your end step, untap target Merfolk you control, and it's a Lord, giving your other Merfolk +1/+1. This is obviously in multicolor and colorless. We're going to see the synergistic cards. This one's great for its synergy, exactly what you want. If you are in Azorius, you're going to want to see this because it's going to be Merfolk themed. Easy 6 out of 10. Gotta get back into my way of numbering this. All right, we have another 2-mana 2/2 for the Merfolk. This one's rare. Flash, when it enters, untap each other Merfolk you control. So a very good combat trick there in the Merfolk deck. And as long as you attacked with 3 or more Merfolk this turn, Merfolk you control get +1/+0. Now that is an attack trigger, so it has to see them attack. So you can't attack with them, flash this, then untap them all and get this trigger, but it's still a really solid card. This is exactly what you're going to want in this deck as well, something that's just buffing all of your Merfolk, making them harder to kill, able to use this as a bit of a combat trick. Super awesome, super effective. I'm probably going to give this about a 7 out of 10 though. It's not like bomb material, 8, 9, or 10, but it's very strong. Want to see that at rare. Here we're seeing some more of the hybrid mana, so that's always fun. When this creature enters, look at the top 4 cards of your library. This one's a 2/3 for 3. You may reveal a Merfolk, Plains, or Island card from among them. Put it into your hand. Now, typically when we see these almost on par creatures that effectively draw you a card, these are really strong. So I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10. I think this card's going to go places for sure. I think this one's a really strong one. I haven't read any of these cards, by the way. I've seen like the one goblin everyone's talking about, so we'll get to that when we get to the red review. However, Merfolk seems like it's already going to be really strong. I'm so excited for this set, y'all. All right, here we go. Next one is a 5-mana Merfolk Soldier 2/2. Whoa. But this has Convoke, so you could get this out for 2 mana potentially. It's got Flying Vigilance. When this creature enters, you create a 1/1 white and blue Merfolk creature token. So, hey, go wide, get some more of those creature tokens on the board. I think this is fine, but I wouldn't say it's anything crazy. And it is one of those cards that is only good at all if you already have a board. That's never going to help you catch up in limited, right? So because of that, I'm probably going to give it like a 3 out of 10. I'm not hugely in love with this. If you happen to be in the Merfolk deck, you can pick it up, but Here we have a rare Sig's Command, 1 Azorius, Kindred Sorcery Merfolk. So this counts as a Merfolk for sorcery. We haven't seen a lot of these Kindred spells, but they're always fun when you have them. Create a token that's a copy of target Merfolk you control. Creatures choose 2. Sorry, I should have said. Create a token that's a copy of target Merfolk you control. Creatures target player controls gain lifelink until end of turn. Target player draws a card and tap target creature. Put a stun counter on it. Very versatile. You can do a whole lot with this card. This is never going to be a bad thing. So I think this card's an extremely solid rare. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Deceit. This is a mythic 4 and 2 hybrid Dimir. Now, I don't know what Dimir's thing is, but we're going to find out. Okay, Elemental Incarnation 5/5. When it enters, if you spent 2 blue, you can return up to 1 other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. When this creature enters, if 2 black was spent to cast it, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. So you can either make them discard a card or return up to one other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, so basically a bounce. Or you can do both when you're casting it for 6 mana, because you could easily use, 3 blue, 3 black, or something like that, but it does have Evoke. Now, it does not tell us what Evoke does here. It does not. You can get the 2 blue or 2 black effect and then immediately sacrifice the creature if you choose to play it for its Evoke cost. I thought it was something like that, but I did not want to presume. All right. Dream Harvest, 5 and 2 Dimir Hydra. Oh, I didn't give this a rating. This seems really solid. I mean, 6 mana, getting both of those effects and a 5/5 is extremely strong. And it has the option to play it early in the game just to help kind of tempo things out. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to give this probably a 7 as well. It doesn't scream bomb to me, but maybe if you're doing both of these, it could eke into that 8 category. All right, Dream Harvest, 5 and 2 Dimir Hybrid Sorcery. Each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they have exiled cards with total mana value 5 or greater this way. Until end of turn, you may cast cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. So this is going to be, you get total mana value 5 or greater, and your opponent has to mill things for total mana value 5 or greater. So you're going to get at least 10 mana value of free things that you get to cast after spending 7 mana on this. This is obviously printed more for Commander, where you get 20 plus mana value worth of things that you're going to get to cast with this, which is extremely powerful. However, this still is going to be solid, right? 7 mana, be able to do at least 3 to 4 different things. Maybe some of those don't apply depending on what it is, but more often than not, it's going to be creatures or some form of removal where you can get some kind of value out of it. I think this is going to be strong. It still doesn't scream bomb rare to me, so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Mischievous Sneakling, creature, 1 and a Dimir Hybrid Shapeshifter, so 2 mana, 2/2 with Changeling and Flash. Hey, Changeling's going to be powerful in this. You can throw this into your Merfolk deck, and it's a 2 mana Merfolk with Flash. And I assume we're going to see some other creature types if we're seeing Changelings, but who knows. Blue-Black Voracious Tome Skimmer. This is a 3 Dimir hybrid. We're seeing so much more hybrid mana than we ever have before in sets. So that's something it looks like they're really planning on doing more. Don't know how I feel about it yet, but we're seeing it a whole lot more. Voracious Tome Skimmer is 3 Dimir Hybrid, flying 2/3. Whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, you may pay a life. If you do, draw a card. That's going to be absolutely broken, I feel like. I mean, you're going to be playing a lot of instants and sorceries typically, or I should say instants, or instant speed effects, because that's the only thing you're casting on opponent's turns. And then pay 1 life to draw a card is almost always worth it. If you can do this once a turn, you've effectively given yourself a Phyrexian Arena on a creature. This feels pretty good. I do think it's going to be powerful. I'm going to give it a 5, maybe even bordering on 6 out of 10. I feel like this could be really strong in the right deck. All right, moving on, we have Bogart Curse Crafter. This is the Rakdos card. So this is a 2 mana, 2/3 Goblin Warlock with Death Touch. Uncommon, by the way. Whenever another Goblin you control dies, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. So it looks like we're going to be getting Goblin themes, which we already kind of knew because we're getting that Goblin Squelcher or whatever it's called. But I did not know that we were getting Goblins as a full, supported creature type. This certainly reads like we are. Assuming that that's what Rakdos is, this is going to be pretty strong, especially if it has, self-sacrifice abilities, thinking like an aristocrat style where you can sacrifice your goblins and, draw cards, do extra damage, that sort of thing. All right, Chaos Spewer. This is a 3 mana Goblin Warlock 5/4, 2 and a hybrid Rakdos. When this creature enters, you may pay 2. If you don't, Blight 2. Blight means put 2 -1/-1 counters on a creature you control. So this comes in as a 3/2 for 3, or you have to pay 5 for a 5/4. That's not great. If there are ways to move the counters or use the counters in other ways, I could see how this is useful, but this doesn't read great. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. Playable, but not very strong. Eclipse Bogart is 3 hybrid Rakdos for a 2/3 Goblin Scout, a little below curve. When it enters, look at the top 4 cards of your library. Maybe feel like Goblin, Swamp, or Mountain card. So this is almost exactly, actually this is exactly what we read earlier for the merfolk, except this one is a goblin. Same thing. These things tend to hit above their pay grade. They tend to do super great, right? Because it's already a solid body, but it's also drawing you that card. You can get the land you need. You can get another creature. You're typically in a creature style deck. These things are great. I'm going to say 5 out of 10 at least, probably bordering on a 6. Don't know exactly what I gave the merfolk one at this point. All right, 3 in a Rakdos Grubs command. So I'm seeing the mirror here with the merfolk. So they're kind of making the same cards, but mirroring them for goblins here. Create a token that's a copy of target goblin you control. Creature target player control gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. I think the other one was what? Lifelink. Destroy target artifact or creature. That one was draw a card, and then target player mills 5 cards and puts each goblin card milled this way into their hand. That is awesome. This is great. I think this is exactly what you want. You know, if you've already got a big enough board state, just giving everything +1/+1, and haste is probably pretty strong, especially if you create something that's like, if you create a token that's a copy of your Lord, and then you're also giving everything +1/+1 on top of that. This is gonna end games. This is really strong, but again, only in a goblin deck. So I'm gonna say 7 out of 10, maybe bordering on 8, depending. Probably 7 though. It doesn't scream crazy, but well, no, you probably win. Probably win when you play it. So I'm thinking maybe 8 there. Shadow Urchin, 2 and a Rakdos creature. Oof. Okay, it's an oof, which means it's not a goblin. Whenever this creature attacks, blight 1. Put a -1/-1 counter on a creature you control. So you're getting a 3-mana 3/4 that blights. Whenever a creature you control with 1 or more counters on it dies, exile that many cards from the top of your library. Until your next end step, you may play those cards. Oh, so you can actually like kill this thing to eventually get a impulse draw 4. That's pretty interesting. I don't know how this will play now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, it's an above curve, barely blocker, and it seems like they're going to be trying to find ways to make the blight counters work, the -1/-1. So it looks interesting. It's hard for me to say where this one's going to land. I imagine it's okay, but not great. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. All right, here we go. We're getting into Green Stompy. I'm excited for this one. 2 a red and a green. 4/2 Changeling with Trample. Okay, so it's right on curve for... Man, I mean, 4/2 with Trample back in the day would have been like a 4-mana card. Especially if it had Changeling. This is just... The power creep is crazy, guys. The power creep, man, everything. I feel like when I see a 3/3, my brain still thinks it's a pretty good, like, it's a pretty good power toughness. And it's like, no, that needs to be 2 mana, basically, at this point. But no, 3 mana, 4/2 Trample. Changeling is solid, but nothing crazy. It probably lands around a 4. Noggle Robber. Okay, so 1 and 2. I think it's Gruul, right? Hybrid Noggle Rogue, 3/3, so 3/3 for 3. When it enters or dies, create a treasure token. So yeah, see, look at this. 3 mana, 3/3 that ramps you both when it enters and dies. Gonna be absolutely phenomenal. This thing's on par, right? When it enters, you get a treasure. When it dies, you get a treasure. You've just ramped yourself by 2. This thing, this is one of them. This is the hidden, I believe this is going to be one of those hidden mythic uncommons, because that is huge. I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. All right, rating schemes. 3 and a Gruul enchantment, so 5 mana enchantment. Each non-creature spell you cast has Conspire. As you cast a non-creature spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a color with it. When you do, copy it, and you may choose new copies for the target. This is 5 mana, do nothing, and then the next turn, hope that you can copy something by tapping things. This might see a place in Constructed like Commander. This will not see anything in Limited. Do not play this in Limited. I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10. I don't think this is playable in Limited. You do not want to be spending 5 mana to do nothing and hopefully do something next turn when you tap all your creatures. I don't like this at all. Maybe I can give it a 2 out of 10 because it's not like the deadest of cards I've ever seen, but it's not good. This is so adorable. Vibrance is so adorable. Look at them. 3 and 2 Gruul Hybrid Elemental Incarnation, 4/4. When it enters, if you spent 2 red, it deals 3 damage to any target. Nice. When it enters, if you spent 2 green, search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand. So 2 mana, basically... I can't think of it right now. The one green. It's in standard right now for 1 green. You need to go fetch a basic. But anyways, now it does say land card. It does not say basic land. That's a huge thing that I'm noticing right now. I mean, these things are going to be really strong cards. They don't hit me like a 10 out of 10 mythic when I'm hearing them, but I do think that if you're managing to get a 4/4, deal 3 damage, and a land all for 5 mana, that is really strong, and it does put it in that 7 or 8 out of 10 category. And of course, it's got the evoke option as well. All right, Brigade's Command 1 and 2. Okay, so there's going to be Kithkin for Celestia. Okay, cool. So Brigand's Command, 1 and a Celestia. Kindred Sorcery, create a token that's a copy of Kithkin. Target player creates a 1/1 green and white Kithkin creature. Target creatures you control get +3/+. Oh, target creature, not creatures. That would be broken. Target creature gets +3/+3. Or target creature you control fights target creature and opponent controls. I like this having fight as part of it, because if I'm 3 mana, make a copy of something and probably get some removal, this is really strong. The other ones I know I've said are kind of 7 out of 10, maybe borderlining on 8 so far. I think this and the Goblin one are a little stronger than the Merfolk one, but we'll just have to see, because the Merfolk cards that I saw did read really strong. So Eclipsed Kithkin, 2 green, 2 green white hybrid, or Celestia hybrid. Kithkin Scout for 2/1. When it enters, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a Kithkin Forest Plains. I actually like this even more than the other ones, just because it's got the right amount in terms of the power, so it can trade on par, and it gets you a card. This is going to be a really strong card. Now you have to have the Kithkin, but honestly, if you're getting this, even if you're just playing a green deck and you're getting this to go get another forest, right? Like this could be pretty strong for you. I like this one a lot. All right, rare 1 mana 1/1 Figure of Fable. You can pay 1 and it becomes a 2/3. That's awesome, right? I mean, you end up paying a total of 2 mana and you now have a 2/3. You can pay 3 mana after that and it becomes a 4/5. And then later you can pay 6 mana and it becomes a 7/8 and protection from each of your opponents. Now, I'll remind you that protection cannot be damaged, equipped, blocked, or targeted. So that's probably going to win you the game if you can pull that off. Now you've spent 1, 2, 5, 11 mana on it since then. So, I mean, that's a lot. It's a big mana sink, but it is something you can do later. I think, honestly, getting it to be a 4/5 is probably worth it. Probably not this is probably not turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. I would put other stuff on the board because you don't want this to just get removed, but it's something to think about. Oh, I need to give it a rating. I think it's pretty solid. It's probably a 7 out of 10. It's still none of these. I have not read a rare mythic yet that I have read and been like, that is going to win you the game. If that hits the battlefield, it wins you the game. Every once in a while, you see those. You see those rares and mythics, and I haven't seen one yet. Thought Weft Lieutenant. This is Kithkin Soldier, 2 mana 2/2. For a Celestia, whenever this creature or another Kithkin you control enters, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. So this is a bad lord, right? Because you have to have another Kithkin enter, or it's just a 2 mana 2/2. So because of that, I actually think this is a relatively weak uncommon, because the Kithkin have to be entering the battlefield for this to be triggered. However, you can stack it up on a creature and make that creature particularly big, so it has its payoffs. I don't think that's super strong, so I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. 1 and 2 Celestia hybrid for a Kithkin Citizen, 3/3 for 3. At the beginning of your end step, if another creature entered the battlefield under your control this turn, you get to surveil one. I mean, fine. It's another creature, so you're not going to get it that turn that it came in. And Surveil one is useful, but it's not like the be-all, end-all. So you're really getting a creature that's just on par. Nothing crazy. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10 as well. Abigail Eloquent First Year. Interesting. This looks like a Strixhaven card that was printed in the wrong set. Legendary creature Bird Bard. 1/1 for 2. Flying First Strike Lifelink is very strong. When it enters, up to one other target creature loses all abilities. Put a flying counter, a first strike counter, and a lifelink counter on that creature. Oh, that's huge, right? So you want to play this later when something's massive. And, I mean, it's just a 4/4 body, essentially. And then it becomes a 4/4 body with flying first strike and lifelink. Yeah, that's a really good card, honestly. This is really strong. I mean, and it itself is a 1/1 flying first strike lifelink. I think that's really great. I think this is really good. You know, you don't want to put on something that has a crazy good ability, but you're happy to put it on. You're just, you know, I needed a 4/4 type of thing. So this is a really good card. I'm never going to be disappointed in this card, I don't think. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's really strong, but I don't think it's like, again, I've not read one that I'm just like, man, that's broken yet. I could. Oh wait, this isn't Celestia. I think I said Celestia. By the way, this is Orzhov. All right, 4 and 2 Orzhov hybrid, 3/5 elemental incarnation, 2 white, return target creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, so that could be pretty good. When this creature enters, if 2 black was spent on it, put 3 -1/-1 counters on up to 1 target creature. That's pretty much removal. And then, of course, it's a 3/5. I do like that removal is baked into this creature, so that's pretty good. I said the other ones are around a 7 or an 8 out of 10, and I feel the same way about this one. If you're managing to get all of these triggers off, it's probably going to be an 8 out of 10. 2 and a white, 2 and a Orzhov hybrid, so 3 mana, 2/3 changeling with lifelink. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I do think that lifelink is really powerful and limited. I think it really makes a big difference. I do think Death Touch is a little bit stronger, but I think that lifelink is one of the best keywords that you can see on a card. That being said, this thing is good if you're already in a creature type deck. So if you are playing Merfolk, Kithkin, or Goblins, based on what we've seen so far, this thing gets a little bit of a bump. But generically, I'm going to give it a 3 or a 4 out of 10 just because it's below curve, and this thing's just going to get eaten more often than not. Like, it's not actually going to be that good of a blocker. All right, 1 and 3 Orzhov hybrid creature, Treefolk Cleric. Now, one thing I got to keep in mind is that when you're playing all of these cards, and when you're drafting all of these cards, and when you're building your sealed deck, all of these hybrid cards can go in a lot of decks. It really does make the deck building aspect pretty crazy. But it also makes things a little difficult when you're looking at like constructed and things like that, because now, you know, there's all those rules with commander and whatnot. So I'm not used to having to think about these cards and be like, oh, this can actually go in a white-red deck. This can go in a black-blue deck. Like, you don't really want to play it in those, but if it happens to synergize really well with you, you can. So anyways, 1 and 3 Orzhov creature, Treefolk Cleric, lifelink 3/6. Okay. When this creature enters, with 2 -1/-1 counters on it, but you can pay 2 to remove 2 counters from this creature. Return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Oh, that's pretty solid. So you got to have 6 mana, but essentially, if you do, you're getting something pretty worthwhile out of it. I think all things considered, especially if Orzhov has a lot of ETB triggers or ways for you to sacrifice your own things and get benefit from it, which is kind of what Orzhov tends to do, I would not be surprised if this is pretty strong. So I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Ashling's Command. So now we're seeing Elemental, huh? Is it going to be Elemental? We'll find out. Kindred Instant Elemental. Create a token that's a copy of target Elemental you control. Target player draws 2 cards. That's very strong. Ashling's Command deals 2 damage to each creature target player controls. Could be good. Target player creates 2 treasure tokens. I think this might be the strongest one I've seen so far. Unless you have a very specific Elemental you're wanting to copy with this, or if Elementals are what Blue-Red is, then great. But, you know, I mean, draw 2, make 2 treasures is just a really strong one. If the 2 damage to each creature is going to do great work for you, then that's awesome. I mean, this just seems like it's going to be really good. So, again, I honestly like these more than the Mythics I've been seeing. 7 or 8 out of 10. I'd love to get something a 9 or a 10, but I just haven't seen a card that I'm like, well, I don't know how you beat that. You know, I'm talking like Sire of 7 Deaths. It hits the battlefield, you're like, I don't know how you beat that. Eclipsed Flamekin. 1 and 2, not a. I'm a great YouTuber, guys. I'm doing great at this thing.
You're an amazing YouTuber.
Thank you. 1 and 2 is it hybrid. Creature Elemental Scout 1/4. So hey, Elemental. Right, it looks like it is the is it thing. When this creature enters, look at the top 4. Okay, we've talked about this. 5 or 6 out of 10. These things are great. Flaring Cinder, 3 mana, 1 and 2 is it hybrid creature 3/2. When it enters and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. That's good, but it's not a good stat line. It's like a fine stat line, and you're not getting a whole lot out of this, and draw discard is not like huge, and you have to discard first. So if I'm not mistaken, that's what we call like rummage versus a loot, so it's even worse. And I would not. That's a 3 out of 10. Sonar, I don't know. Innovative first year, 2 and 2 is it hybrid legendary creature Goblin Sorcerer. with Vivid, at the beginning of your first main phase, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X non-land cards, where X is the number of colors among permanents you control. Of course, you'll have at least 2. For each of those colors, you may exile a card of that color from among the revealed cards. Then shuffle. You may cast the exile cards this turn. That is a lot of words, but it is really strong because it's getting you basically at least 2 cards a turn, and you're probably just playing an Izzet deck, so you can cast whatever it is that you get. This seems really strong. I'm very happy with this card. I think this is going to be extremely powerful. That's at the beginning of your first main phase, so the turn it comes out, it's a 4-mana 2/4. So keep that in mind. I think it's strong, but I don't think it's breaking the game. It's going to get a 7 out of 10. I really want to give something higher than that, guys, but I haven't seen it yet. Twin Flame Travelers, 4-mana creature elemental sorcerer, 3/3. Flying, if a triggered ability of another elemental you control triggers, it triggers an additional time. Okay, I mean, 4-mana 3/3 flyer is already going to be a pretty good stat line, and if you are in elementals, this could do some really good stuff. This could be strong. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. All right, Eclipsed Elf. Great. We're getting elves. I'm so happy that this is such a creature type heavy set. I really love creature type. So this is your 3-mana, go get an elf, swamp, or forest card. So happy with that. Again, 5 or 6 out of 10. These things are great. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. High Perfect Morkant, 2 and a Golgari, legendary creature elf noble. So 4-mana 4/4. Whenever it or another elf you control enters, each opponent blights 1. Of course, we're saying each opponent there for commander, but even in limited, that's strong. And then tap 3 untapped elves you control to proliferate. Oh, that's huge because you can double the -1/-1 counters that all of your opponents have, and if you're in +1/+1 counters yourself, you can benefit from that. This is gonna be really strong. This is definitely a commander card. Like this is definitely meant to be a new Golgari elf commander. So because it's whenever it or another elf enters. So if you have like 7 elves enter, every opponent has to blight 7, and then you tap 3 of those 7, and then you tap another 3 of those 7, and you just made all your opponents get -3/-3. Like, whoo, man. Oh man. I don't know if I gave it a rating. This might be the strongest card I've seen so far. This is really, really strong. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 though. It still doesn't read like I can't beat it. Llorwyn, Imperfect Naturalist. This is a 2 Golgari hybrid for a 1/3 rare. When it enters, mill 4 cards, then you may put a creature or a land card from among the mill cards on top of your library. So you don't get to draw it. Like you don't gain a card here. And then you can pay 5 with 3 Golgari hybrid tap. Discard a land card. Create a 1/1 black and green worm creature token for each land card in your graveyard. That's pretty powerful, but you're going to have a lot of land cards in your graveyard. Now, if you get to the point where you have plenty of lands, this thing's kind of like, you're going to have to balance this, but it is pretty strong. It's not like crazy. I'll say it's probably landing around a 5 out of 10 in limited, maybe a little better, but that's where I've got it. Morkant's Loyalist. This is exactly what you want if you're building the Golgari Elf deck. 3-mana, 3/2 Golgari Elf. Other elves you control get +1/+1. When this creature dies, return another target elf card from your graveyard to your hand. Just great, right? Lord for your elves. If it does die, you get an elf back, so you're getting benefit off of it. So you basically kind of 2-for-1 your opponent, which is awesome. Stoic Grove Guide. I didn't give it a rating. I'll say a 6 out of 10. This is a really good Lord effect, in my opinion. All right, Stoic Grove Guide, 5-mana, 5/4, with 1 Golgari Hybrid Elf Druid, 1 and a Golgari Hybrid Exile this card from your graveyard to create a 2/2 black and green elf creature token. So if it does die, you can eventually get a 2/2 black and green elf, or if you mill it, you can do that ability even though it's you never actually did it, or if you have to discard. So not bad. This is not bad at all. I don't think it's great, but it's not bad. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Here we have Tristan's Command. This looks like it's going to be that card for elves, so let's see what it does. Choose 2, create a token that's copy a target elf. Return 1 or 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. That's awesome. Return 2 permanent cards is crazy. Destroy target creature or enchantment if you need it. That's great. I mean, I talked about liking that this was a sorry, I read the last one. I said that I was liking that there was removal in I think it was the blue and red one. This is great. Destroy target creature or enchantment. And then creatures target player controls gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Untap them is huge. And you can use them, as elves always do, to like pay for this card, and then you get to untap all those creatures and then still attack with them. This one is massive. This one is probably the strongest one so far. This one might be the first 9 out of 10 that I'm reading, because I just don't know how you really, like, this changes the game. Although it is 6 mana, so maybe that bumps it down to an 8. I'll settle on an 8. All right. Now we are in Boros. So 2 in a Boros, legendary creature, giant warrior. So 4 mana, 4/4. Pay 1 in a white, tap another target creature you control gains flying and lifelink until end of turn, which is pretty cute. And then at the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost if the spell's mana value is less than or equal to the amount of life you gained this turn. This is really interesting because this is a commander for life gain in Boros, which is really unique. I love that. This might be something I have to build at some point. This is also just great in limited, right? I mean, 4 mana, 4/4, and then if you want to be giving something else flying and lifelink, you can. That's great. It's never a bad thing, right? So I don't think it's like win the game crazy, but I think it's at least a 6 out of 10. All right, let's keep it going. Catharsis. This is, of course, our Evoke Mythic. So 4 and 2. Boros hybrid. If 2 white was spent, you create 2 1/1 green and white Kithkin creature tokens. If 2 red was spent, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain haste. If both was spent, you do both, and then of course you can evoke it. I think the 2 1/1s is pretty strong. Creatures getting +1/+1 and haste is fine. And if you do them both, those will be 2/2s that can attack that turn, which is pretty strong. But it's fine. I don't think it's crazy, but I think it's fine. Obviously, you're sacrificing the ability to do both of these if you're running this in just like mono red. So you got to keep that in mind. Like in mono red, this is a 6 mana 3/4 that gives +1/+1 and gains haste. In mono white, it's the opposite. So you got to keep that in mind. I think that when I've been giving it the higher rating, I'm talking about having the ability to trigger both of them at the top end. And if you are choosing to play into the hybrid part of this, you're sacrificing one of those two things. I think this one's 7 out of 10. This one might be the worst one I've seen so far, though. So maybe it's bordering on a 6. All right, Feisty, probably Feisty. Spikeling. So this is 1 in a red-white, 2/1 changeling. During your turn, this creature has first strike. I mean, fine. Again, just to help you get your creature types. I like that these exist because they can generally go in any of the creature type decks to some extent. Like, this is a merfolk, even though it doesn't look like one. This is a goblin, even though it doesn't look like one. This is a Kithkin, even though it doesn't look like one. So I like that. It's fine. 4 out of 10. Hovel, I don't know. Hovel Hurler. 3 and...
Hovel.
Yes.
Hovel.
Hovel Hurler. 3 and 2 Boros, giant warrior. It is a 6 power, 7 toughness. Yes, I said the words to split it up. When it enters, baby. I've never been so disappointed.
That is not true.
This creature enters with 2 -1/-1 counters. So it will enter as a 4/5. But you can pay 2 to remove a counter from it. Another target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains flying until end of turn. So that's pretty nice. Now, notably, remove a counter from this creature is part of these activated ability triggers, which I just realized you can then later blight these creatures as almost a good thing, because then you can keep activating their ability because you can't activate it unless there's a counter on them. So that's actually pretty unique. I like that a lot. Because I like that, it's kind of getting a bump from me, but I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Maybe should I give it a 6 or a 7 out of 10? I think I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Carol, attentive first year, 1 and 2. Oh, they talked about how, I forgot about this. They talked about in an article about how they were going to tie in Strixhaven into Llorwyn. That's why we're seeing...
Strixhaven students in Llorwyn right now.
Yes.
And that's what Strixhaven is also going to focus on, is the journey of those students in Llorwyn.
Gotcha. I was going to say, because I'm seeing a bunch of first years that should be Strixhaven. That's exactly what's happening. Okay. I remember that now. 1 and 2 Boros hybrid, legendary creature, vampire cleric. So 3 mana, 3/3. Tap 2 untap creatures you control to copy target triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. That's really strong. That's really strong on a 3/3. Especially with all of the going wide. Now, it doesn't fit into the creature types that we've seen so far because it's a vampire. Now, maybe they also have vampires, although if they were going to do vampires, you'd think it would be Orzhov. We've already seen those cards. But that is pretty strong, so I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Chitinous Graspling. Okay, so this is a 4 mana 3/4 with Reach Changeling. Again, this can go in all of the different decks. This is a Merfolk. This is a Kithkin. It wouldn't go in. It could go in a Elemental, so it's Elemental, those sorts of things. But it's fine. 4 out of 10. Maybe even a 3 out of 10. It is below curve, but. Glister Baron? I don't know. 2 and 2 Simic Hybrid. It is an oof. I love oofs. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of colors among permanents you control. This is horrible. This is horrible. You're probably playing. I mean, I know that there's I saw Vivid, and now I know. Okay, so there is a Wooburg deck that you could build. But if you build this into a Wooburg deck, best case scenario, you're giving one creature +5/+5, and you had to do a whole lot of setup for that. I just don't think this is worth it. I mean, yes, if you have multiple of these, but the amount of mana you have to spend, this is not good. This is a top end, people. This is 5 mana. It needs to win the game. 1 out of 10. Don't play this. Tam Mindful First Year. 1 and a Simic Hybrid legendary creature. So 2 mana, 2/2 Gorgon Wizard. Each other creature you control has hexproof from each of its colors. That's pretty neat. They have hexproof from their colors. Tap, target creature you control becomes all colors. Oh, that's really neat. So you basically just have a creature that you can tap to give anything hexproof. This is going to be really strong in... I want to see what the alternate art... Oh, this is just a borderless. Okay, sure. This is going to be really strong and constructed. I think it's also strong and limited, though, just to give anything basically give anything hexproof, right? At instant speed, as long as it's untapped. It's a good 2 mana 2/2. It's not broken, but it's a good 2 mana 2/2, so I'll call it 5 out of 10. We'll give it 6 out of 10. That's strong. All right, Wistfulness. This is the next one. Elemental Incarnation. This one is Simic, so 5 mana in Simic. If 2 green was spent on this, exile target artifact or enchantment, so basically a disenchant type effect sort of thing, although you can hit an artifact with it. When this creature enters, if 2 blue is spent on it, draw 2, then discard 1. Yeah, this is great. I mean, 5 mana, get a 6/5 body is already fine. If you manage to do both of these, I mean, I would play this in one of the 1 colors, honestly. I mean, 5 mana, get a 6/5, and then draw 2, discard, or 5 mana, get a 6/5, and then destroy an artifact or enchantment. Obviously, they'd have to have something to destroy, but yeah, I love this one. This one's probably the best one so far. This one I'm going to say is a strong 8 out of 10. All right, and now we're getting all the 3 color commanders that we have to draft in this set, because that's Magic these days, people. So 1 and a Abzan, legendary creature, Treefolk Druid. Each creature spell you cast with toughness greater than its power costs 1 less to cast. So this just makes all of your big butt creatures 1 less to cast. Not bad. This is obviously going to go straight into all of those defender decks. Whenever a creature you control attacks or blocks, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the difference between its power and toughness. Wow. I don't know if this is strong enough to run in the command zone when there are ways that you can draw cards for toughness in the command zone, but this is an instant include in any of those Abzan decks. We have one of those. If we were upgrading it, we would definitely be looking into this guy. How do I think this actually works in the game? I don't know if I've seen a lot of... I mean, like, it can run cards like this, but they're not going crazy. I mean, it's fine, but I don't think it's broken. I don't really want to be paying this much for a 4 mana 0/5, so I don't think you really play this in limited. I think you mainly play this in constructed. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 10. I really wouldn't play this. 2 and a Sultai. Legendary creature, Elf Fairy Noble, 4/5 flyer for 5. Flying, whenever her or another elf or fairy you control enters, exile the top 2 cards of target opponent's library. Once each turn, you may cast a spell with mana value less than or equal to the number of elves and fairies you control from among cards exiled with Marilyn this turn without paying their mana cost. Extremely strong. This thing is a 5 mana 4/5 flyer that is very likely to hit something relatively, because it's whenever this or another elf or fairy. So if you play, I mean, and it doesn't say non-token. So if you make like 3 token elves or 3 token fairies, boom, you're hitting 6 cards. You can at least find a 4 mana thing in there that you get to cast for free. This might be one of the bombiest cards I've seen so far. This does feel like it's hard to beat. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I don't think it's in that 9 or 10 category just yet. but it might actually. I gave a 9 earlier. I might have to give this a 9. That's really strong. 8 or 9 for sure. Changeling Wayfinder, 3 mana, 1/2 Changeling. When this enters, you may search for a basic, reveal it, put it into your hand. Don't sleep on this card. 3 mana, 1/2. That's any creature type. It's colorless, so you can put it in every single creature type deck, and it goes and gets you a land into your hand. So it's a 3 mana, draw a card and be your creature type. Not bad, man. I also love the flavor. I love the flavor text on this one. It just says no map, no complaints. That's cute. Ooh, we have another mythic. Chronicle of Victory. I love the art on this. This is already a win in my book. 6 mana legendary artifact. As it enters, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +2/+2 and have first strike and trample. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, draw a card. Holy frick, dude. This is just, what is it? Is it Banner of Victory? Is that what it's called? Do you know? Banner of, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Banner of, I might be getting 2 cards combined then there. I'm talking about the one with a banner, but I don't know what the, well, no, I think Banner of Kinship is a card. I think you're right about that, but yeah, Banner of Kinship is the card. So what is the one that I'm thinking of? Oh, now I'm upset. Let's see. Creature type. It's not going to come up with it. Oh, yes. Vanquisher's Banner. That's the card that I was looking for. Which is 5 mana. Listen to this. That one is 5 mana. Choose a creature type. They get +1/+1, and then whenever you cast a creature type of that card, of that type, you draw a card. This is 6 mana, so 1 more, and is a legendary artifact, so you can't make copies of it. Choose a creature type. Creatures you control get +2/+2. Have first strike, and have trample, and whenever you cast a creature of that type, you draw a card. That is so much more powerful for just 1 more mana. And I've actually been thinking about, I think I actually did take Vanquisher's Banner out of Sidar, just because it's a little weak for 5 mana. Like, you're not casting a ton of, well, that one's actually really bad, because you're not casting knights in the deck, you're basically just reanimating them from the graveyard. But I would only put it in something where you're casting creatures, like, at least 1 to 2 a turn. So you can play like 2 merfolk, draw 2 cards off of it. 2 goblins, 4 goblins, draw 2 or 4 cards off of it. But this actually is very playable with all the creature type decks in the format. This is huge, especially if you have 2 or 3 of those already and you're drawing cards off of them. This might have to be the first 10. It is a 9 or a 10. I want to say 9 just because you have to have the creature types already. Like, it's not just a standalone, I play this and I win. But 9 or a 10, man, that thing's awesome. All right, Dawn Blessed Pennant. I'm realizing I'm only just now on the colorless cards. We gotta pick up the pace here, people. Dawn Blessed Pendant. There we go. 1 mana artifact. When this enters, choose Elemental, Elf, Fairy, Giant, Goblin, Kithkin, Merfolk, or Treefolk. So it looks like there are other types that we haven't seen. Whenever a permanent you control the chosen type enters, you gain 1 life. Pay 2, tap, sacrifice it, return target card of the chosen type from your graveyard to your hand. I mean, that's not bad. I'm actually fine with this in those decks. And this is actually relatively strong in throw this in a Goblin deck, and now every time a Goblin enters, you're gaining 1 life. It's basically the opposite of Impact Tremors, right? That's pretty cool. And then if they kill Krinko, you can get it back. Or I guess Krinko's probably your commander, but if they kill something else that you really want back, you can get it back by sacking the artifact. That's really cool. How do I think this plays? Probably like a 3 or a 4 out of 10. It's very situational, but when you want it, you want it. Furdok Core, 3 mana Kindred artifact with Shapeshifter, so this counts for anything when you cast it. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Pay 4. This artifact becomes a 4/4 artifact creature until end of turn. That's actually not bad. That's actually not the end of the world. I mean, it's okay for ramp. Yeah, I feel like if you're going for multiple colors or if you're going for the Kindred stuff, then, I mean, the fact that it has Shapeshifter means that it becomes that creature type when you turn it into a creature. So that's okay, but I don't think it's great. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. Foraging Wicker Maw, 2 mana artifact creature Scarecrow. When the creature enters, you get to surveil 1. You can pay 1, add 1 mana of any color. That's fine. 2 mana, 1/3 that lets you do the surveils and then lets you change color. Like, if you need it, then it's fine. 3 out of 10. Gathering Stone, 4 mana artifact, enters, choose a creature type. Spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. So this feels like a whatever the horn card is. I'm losing my mind here, people. When this artifact enters and at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a card of the chosen type, you may reveal it, put it into your hand. If you don't put the card into your hand, you may put it into your graveyard. So this is very similar to whatever that card is called. It's been so long since I played, guys. I need to play Constructed more. I mean, it's solid for Constructed. I think it's also relatively solid for. I mean, it's a little. Yeah, it's a little expensive to nothing-y, so probably 3 or 4 out of 10 still. Mirror Mind Crown, 4 mana equipment. As long as this equipment is attached to a creature, the first time you would create 1 or more tokens each turn, you may instead create that many tokens that are copies of the equipped creature. Oh, so this is just... Wow, I am really bad about names of Magic cards, I'm realizing. Because I am talking about like 7 different cards, and I have not been able to nail any of them. Is it Helm of the Hosts? Is that the name of the card?
Stupid helmet thing?
Yeah, that like...
Homo?
Yeah, that like makes a copy,
Yes,
but it's not legendary.
Yes.
Huh?
Helm of the Host.
Yeah, so this is the same thing, but cheaper. But it... Well, okay, no, it's not the same thing. So this one is like the enchantments that say when you would make tokens, you can instead make a copy of the permanent, except it's an artifact. But it doesn't make non-legendary things. So it's kind of Helm of the Hosty, but Helm of the Host, I think, just straight up says, like, at the beginning of combat or on your upkeep, whatever it is, make a copy. Like, I think that's what Helm of the Host does. I don't think you have to make a copy elsewhere. I think you just equip it, and you get a copy. But it's fine. I don't like this a lot because I mean you have to pay for the equipment. You have to pay 2 to attach it, and then you have to make tokens. Yes, there are crazy win scenarios that you can pull off with it, but you have to be so ahead on board. 2 out of 10. Don't play this in limited. Don't play it in limited. Take it home, put it in a fun Constructed deck. Puka's Eye. That's not gross at all. 2 mana artifact. When it enters, draw a card, then choose a color. This artifact becomes the chosen color. Pay 3, tap, draw a card. Activate only if there are 5 colors among permanents you control. So you're never going to be able to pull that off unless you're in that very specific... You know, this does count for being a permanent of that color. This is actually a really interesting card because now I'm thinking you can play this in like a 2-color deck. Let's say you're in green-blue, and then you just make this red, white, or black. And it counts as a permanent of that color. That's really interesting. That is really interesting. And you get to draw a card off of it. I mean, it's 2 mana draw a card. It's fine. But then when you sack it, you're not going to have it as that color anymore. It's fine. 3 out of 10. Rooftop Percher, 5 mana Shapeshifter Changeling. That's expensive. 5 mana 3/3 flyer is expensive. Even if it counts as all of your creature types, that's so expensive. When it enters, exile up to 2 card cards from graveyards and you gain 3 life. No. I mean, this is probably a 3 out of 10. Just because it's a little too far below. Like I don't want to spend 5 mana to get a 3/3. Even if it's all of my creature types. Springleaf Drum, 1 mana artifact, tap it, tap an untap creature you control, add 1 mana of any color. I mean, this is fine in certain decks. This is going to act like a really cheap Arcane Signity style card, but you do have to tap an untap creature you control, so you really only want it in those decks like Kithkin or Elves or Goblins where you're going wide. I mean, Merfolk kind of, but not as much as those. And then it's fine, but it's fine. It's a good 1 mana play, I guess, but no, it's not even a good 1 mana play because you can't do anything with it till you have a creature. So probably a 3 or a 4 out of 10. Is this it? No. Well, yep, this is it. All right, last but not least, Stalactite Dagger, 2 mana artifact equipment. When it enters, create a 1/1 Shapeshifter token with Changeling. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and is all creature types. I mean, that's pretty cool because you can throw it on something else and give it Changeling, and it makes the body when it enters, so I feel a little bit better about this. I can give this equipment a 4 out of 10 just because it's 2 mana, make a 1/1, and then later equip it to something. You don't really want to be doing this very often, but hey, look, it's better than nothing. Maybe that gives it 3 out of 10, but I'm inclined to make this one just slightly higher. And there we have it. That's colorless and multicolored spells. So next time you guys see me, we'll be getting into white, and then we'll go all the way through blue, black, red, and green, leading all the way up to pre-release. We really hope you guys enjoy these videos. Let us know what you think of the cards down below. How are my takes? Are they great? Are they horrible? They're probably somewhere in between. I probably have some like perfectly on point ones, and then there's probably cards that I'm reading and you're like, dude, it doesn't do that, or you're missing what it does, or something crazy like that. But hey, you know what it is? This you guys are getting my first takes when I'm reading these cards. I'm super excited about this set. This set looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait to draft it a bunch. I can't wait to play it a bunch. I can't wait to go to pre-release. So definitely stay tuned for updates on all of that. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Looking forward to seeing you guys on the white cards limited set review. We'll see you guys in that one. But until then, may those rolls be ever in your favor. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Bye, y'all.